Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, founder of GST Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which is sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an HR tech company I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GST that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, but opportunities are not. I'd like to welcome each of you to GST Presents Top Global Startups, where I bring you the boldest founders, the most disruptive ideas, and the innovators shaping the future of industries across the globe. Today's episode dives into a rapidly emerging frontier, gaming in the Middle East, a region not just consuming content, but now creating world-class intellectual property, platform, and immersive technologies. Joining me today is Ahmad Al-Natsheh, founder and CEO of Khosouf Studio, an award-winning game developer, civil engineer, musician, and tech entrepreneur. Ahmed has designed and produced over 20 projects, built VR simulation theme parks, and made history as a publisher of the first PlayStation 5 VR2 game from the Middle East. From solo development to game console platforms, he represented a new wave of creators bringing geographic and technological boundaries together. Today, we're going to explore what it really takes to building a gaming company in the Middle East, the leap from India development to PlayStation scale production, the intersection of VR, storytelling, and cultural identity, and where the future of immersive gaming is headed globally. So with that, I'd like to welcome him to the show.
Hello, Mr. Gary. Thanks so much for having me.
I got a question for you. I just want to make sure, your name of your studio, so I pronounce it properly.
It's Khosouf.
Khosouf. So the K is silent?
It's Kha, like.
Okay.
It actually means eclipse in Arabic. That's the name.
Okay, excellent. Khosouf. It's hard for me to say, but I appreciate it.
It's close enough. I appreciate it.
And so how did you get started? Your English is really good. Did you study in the U.S. or what did you study?
Oh no, I studied on the internet basically.
Wow, that's
everything. Like nearly everything I've learned in my life was just through absorbing entertainment, games, and trying to communicate with people until it kicked off, I guess. And it does help that my wife is American as well, so like we do communicate with English. So I might have picked up the accent, I suppose. She's from Florida.
Oh, where is she from in Florida?
Oh man, this is live, huh? I'm not entirely sure. She's from a really nice place. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I got it. The reason I was asking, I'm actually in Palm Beach in Florida right now at my place.
Okay.
Palo Alto and here in Florida. So, your background spans engineering, music, and games development. What was
my background is chaos, man. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. But you survived in the chaos. You started as a solo developer. What are the hardest realities people underestimate of going from individual creator to studio founder?
I mean, honestly speaking, I wish I started off as a developer, but as you saw with the weird background, I started off actually as a musician and a guitar maker. So the name Khosouf came actually from one night I needed a name for my band, which was a one-man band, by the way, that does death metal. Very appropriate genre for the region. and like one night I'm like looking for that name, and I look outside the window and there's an eclipse, and I'm like, here you go, the name is Khosouf. And that's where the name came from.
I love that. That is fantastic. And as you're going down, well, by the way, what kind of guitars were you making?
Like electric stuff, 7 strings, like the heavy stuff.
Were you doing the because I used to have an Ibanez, a blonde Ibanez, back in the days, a bass guitar back in those days, and it takes a lot of work to make a guitar. That's not a simple project.
It is not. It took me like maybe 3-4 years to get into the craft and create my first guitar. It's actually like right there in the background. It's the best way to describe it is that I am the type of person that when I do something, I put my heart and soul into it. And as you know, with entrepreneurs, one of the biggest downfalls is when you put your heart and soul into something without doing enough business calculations. So I would say that 90% of all the businesses I started early on have failed due to that reason, where I always make something that doesn't apply to the region. But
Wow.
but like the experience is always transferable to what you do next, and that's why that never really discourages me. I just keep going. You learn something, you try, you learn something, you try, and it keeps transferring until now. I'm not gonna announce too much, but I think this is working.
No, that's great. That's great. So, the Middle East has historically been a consumer of games. What structural changes enable it to become a producer of global gaming?
uh you are 100% right. The Middle East has always been a consumer of video games, and for it to become a distributor, a creator, to have studios, the main thing that is missing, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, is a success case, which yet until now has not really showed up. I'm talking outside of mobile game development. Mobile game development, there are some like good success cases, but when you're talking about PlayStation, console, and PC, I would say that it is still has not been yet achieved, and that's where I placed myself. I saw a massive gap, and I'm like, we're gonna do this. And the way to do this is to do it yourself. That's my bullet point. How are we going to do it in the Middle East? We're gonna do it ourselves. And that's what this vision is. This is, I know it's a bit chaotic. You see like headsets, cables, motorcycle helmets, and a bunch of other computers. This is what's needed. You can't just import experience. You have to do it yourself. And that's what I did. Like, that's why the studio right now is maybe, I would say it's 7 years old. And we have yet to really hit hard. And it is sort of calculated, because to gain that experience yourself and not to just like throw money at the problem, you have to go through the rough patch and just pave the way. And that takes a lot of time. And I'm not sure if I should share these details, for example, but for example, we've been self-funded for 7 years now, and just 2 months ago got our first investor, a VC from Saudi Arabia called Mirak.
Wow.
So after 7 years of bootstrapping, that's the first investor that comes in.
What were the biggest barriers you faced? Was it the talent, the capital, infrastructure, the infrastructure, or market perception? And how do you overcome them?
I do believe that the biggest problem was similar to the same point as the experience. The experience was not there. And you've seen most likely so many articles and news and whatever. We're gonna throw like so much money at the problem, and then you wait a year or two or three or four. Things happen, of course. I'm not neglecting the amount of efforts that were put into this, but I have yet to see the products. It's as simple as that. The gaming industry is games.
Yeah.
So where are the games, man? And that's what I'm trying to solve right here with the IPs that we are creating right now, is that we need to put those games out there. We need to give them that Arabic identity without being too cheesy, obviously. Like, because, when we say Arabic identity, some people imagine like, oh, it's going to be a camel game. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be in the desert. Cool, we can do that. But there's so much more depth into the Arabic heritage when it comes to poetry, achievements, scientists, all that stuff. Where has all that gone? And that's what needs to be represented. And that's what we would love to do.
How do you do that? But there's vast cultural differences. My grandmother was born in Egypt, in Cairo, right? And she's Greek descent, but born in Cairo.
Amazing.
And the culture is a lot different there than it is in other places. Each one of the countries has a different culture, sometimes dramatically. How do you weave it in? And then religious differences too. There's one thing could be good where you are, another thing could be bad in some other country, right?
True.
How do you do that though? How do you toggle the thing on and off to make sure that it's regionally? And there's values in different parts of the U.S. that are dramatically different, right?
Yes.
So
what we've done, or like the core idea that I have figured out, honestly, just recently, is to find that common point that everyone shares. And to me, that common point was the language. There's different dialects, but the language is the core component. And if you put that language on top of great gameplay, a great concept, a great idea, high graphics, people will devour it. And that's actually what happened. Like, just recently, we put a post into Instagram that went completely psycho-viral with zero funding, zero marketing budget, because people just saw the image, the idea, and they saw the Arabic language being interpreted correctly with pure soul into it, and they just ate it up, and I love that. So to give just a basic example is what we've done. The game that we're working on right now is called The Panic Pit, where you play as a character that goes into the mind of someone who's going through a turbulent time, let's just call it, or suicidal to a certain extent. And you venture as the thought of hope in that mind. You face negative thoughts, you face the kingdoms of the mind, and everything is a personality and a character. You see, that's a general idea. It's not an Arabic idea, it's a human idea. That's the common point between all those people. Then we layer it with the Arabic language, similar to how the Japanese games do it. And I can't believe no one did it before. The Japanese games, what they do is that there's the Japanese dialogue, and that's the original language that was written in, and then it's dubbed to English. Same thing we're going to do with the Arabic thing.
Yeah, and the movies too. I got to tell you, when I was a kid, Godzilla and Monster
Exactly.
Hero and all this stuff, right? And you start to consume it. I think they
Yeah,
there's only so much. I've been watching it for years. There's only so much of that stuff I can take, though. You know what I mean?
yep. And here in the Middle East, it's completely untapped. And people want it, and not just people in the Middle East, like our target demographic, yes, its core will be the Arabic customers, but just as you said with Godzilla, for example, it will reach the world once it grows locally. But when you alienate yourself trying to be someone you are not, and which I was doing, by the way, I was guilty of that. With like the mentality of like, I'm gonna be someone who I am not to fit in. That's exactly what doesn't work. But of course, it takes a lot of time and maturity to know who you are really in a business standpoint, as someone who, and what you make, what's your product, and what you are. But tell you, like honestly speaking, the journey was fun and it's still ongoing. Like I enjoy every single day of it.
Oh, that's great. So I think you've answered this, but are you seeing the emergence of a distinct Middle Eastern gaming identity, or is it heavily influenced by Western and Asian markets?
It's heavily influenced, and we are going to be the ones that break that.
No, that's great. And if you're advising a government or sovereign fund in the region, what would you prioritize to accelerate a world-class gaming ecosystem?
I would prioritize that they actually ask the people who are around with experience. Because what happens is that every entity is trying to do something on their own. It's as if there's not enough pieces of the cake for everyone to have. Well, what they don't realize is that the cake is big enough for everyone. But there's this competitive barrier where everyone's trying to keep information from each other. And this will be the reason why it doesn't work. Everyone needs to open the doors, share the experience, and that's what I do. Just yesterday, I was in Dubai giving a talk to all these developers in a new thing that has zero relation to me, and I'm getting nothing out of it. But we need to share that experience because we will not do it alone. For me, we might be, maybe like a 10% chance, we might be the success case that changes everything. But there's the 90% that everyone else must do for this industry to grow. It's not about me. The picture is much bigger than this.
What are the technical and operational differences between building an indie game versus developing for a platform like Sony PlayStation? Sony.
The the key difference when you make just an indie game is most likely you're going to be publishing it on, let's say, Steam, which is very easy to enter. You pay $100, you throw your game right there, and they approve it, and go. I could upload a selfie of myself, and they were like, great game, go. But with PlayStation, you need to become a development partner. You need to get something called the development kit and actually receive it, which took me 2 years, by the way, to get the dev kit into the country.
Get in the kit. What's it do?
What's a dev kit? A dev kit is basically a piece of hardware that if you don't have, forget about your game reaching PlayStation. You need to port your game into the development kit, do all that magical coding work, test it there, then ship that version of it to PlayStation to approve it and put it into their store. Without that development kit, your game is 100% not reaching the market. And the only way to do this is to hire or to sign up with a publisher who will most likely take a kidney out of your profits. And you will end up as just a side name that doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the money, and you will not be able to grow further than that.
Wow. VR is still in early adoption. What made you commit to VR 2, and what signals did you see that others may have missed?
It's not the most technical answer, but honestly speaking, I just love it. Absolutely love it. The concept of VR, I just fell in love with it instantly. And it was back in the year maybe 2016, 2017, where I was actually a civil engineer at the time, trying to transition to becoming a game developer, having no experience with programming, 3D modeling, whatever you name it. I had nothing. I didn't even know that games could be made by people. And I just did a Google, like how to make a game. Unreal Engine showed up, which is the engine I use. And I started learning on it. And that led me toward like, okay, how can I get some money out of this? Because, money moves the world. Even a couple of thousands could really change everything. And that's how I got my first client. It was a VR client. So I don't know how they trusted me, honestly speaking. They did pay me like peanuts, but they requested that I make a VR game for them over the course of 4 or 5 months. And the funny part is that I didn't have a VR headset at the time. So I made the project for them. That's a VR project without a VR headset. And God knows how. They loved it. It worked amazing. I got paid and I bought my first VR headset from making a VR project.
Wow. So if you look at it, you've built VR simulation theme parks. How do you do location-based experiences differently from home gaming in terms of design and monetization? How does it work?
That was such an incredible journey. And you see like how that project in 2016 led to another project. Then COVID happened, then blah, 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 leading to this, one of the most magical projects I've done. It's a VR theme park here in Abu Dhabi called Pixel. So what happened is that the project, I'll be very honest with you, it wasn't going well with the company that was making it. And they just brought me in like as a Hail Mary more than anything. Like, come on, just go for it. See what you can do. Here's the studio. There's 40 people in it, in Lebanon, actually. And just let's see what we can do. And I went there. I was like, I think 28 years old at the time. And I'll be very frank with you, like the studio was extremely hostile to my existence. That's the least I could.
Hostile.
Because like you're just this 20-year-old guy coming to take over this big studio, and like you're coming new to the country, no one knows you, you don't know anyone, and you're not acting. I went there knowing what needs to be done, but there was a lot of friction. Like it is purely natural. Someone who's 35, who's the director of God knows what, is not going to accept that you come in and take his share of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
But we went through it, and God knows how it worked out. And it was actually 10 VR games, 10 simulators running each game separately in the theme park that is open right now for the past 2-3 years. And the games went amazing. But to answer your question, sorry, I diverted away. To answer your question, the difference is that when you develop a game that is for a location-based project, it all starts with the machine. The machine is the key. How does the machine move? And you reverse engineer into the product. And that was one of the biggest problems they've done. They made the game, then made it work on the machine, while it was actually a reverse engineering the type of thing, which is what, honestly speaking, like I'm gonna boost my ego and say, this is one of my best traits. I am a master in reverse engineering stuff, and that's what I love to do. And that's why game development is so good. You can reverse engineer anything and make your own product with your own touch.
If you look at it, let's look 5 to 10 years ahead. What does the ultimate immersive gaming experience look like in 8 years from now?
When we're talking about location-based stuff, honestly speaking, the future of VR seems a little grim right now. I'll be very honest with you. Like, I absolutely love VR, and I have so much experience in it, and I invested so much into it, but the future is looking just a little grim. So all we can hope is that our good friend Mark Zuckerberg doesn't give up and makes some really good hardware, because the key is the hardware. If there's hardware, if it is accessible, if it is small, light, and easy to use, then everything will be good. And I can summarize it into one point, which is summarizes my entire experience with VR, and is it going to survive or not? Friction. Friction is the key word. And that's what I realized with all the customers here, the players, the theme parks, the arcades, all that stuff. If there's too much friction between the player walking and playing, this is not going to take over the world. But once it becomes just as simple as like, oh, it's VR, it works, all in. But if you put it on and you click and then you do that and then you sign up and then you try and there's a tutorial, you already lost the customer. And I really hope that the hardware becomes easily accessible, the friction is gone, and that will revive the VR and XR industry.
So do you think we're moving towards a world where games replace social networks as a primary digital environments?
No. It's as simple as that. I do not believe so. No. The key point is the friction. Why do we scroll? Why do we go on Instagram and doom scroll a couple hours a day? Because there's no friction. Like, I can literally, while talking to you, hold the phone and like start doing that. So unless the friction is gone, that is not going to happen. I do not believe so.
Do you think could gaming really become the dominant interface for commerce, work, and education?
uh Not gaming itself, but the gamification. And you can see like all the government, even here in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and everything, the key word is gamification, which I truly believe in. So they're taking all the systems and they're putting these tiny speckles of game design into them, into your daily life. And what is game design in general? It's just basically trying to find the behavior that gives you that surge of dopamine to look for the next step, give you that mystery. Imagine if at the end of the month your salary is like either 5,000 or 10,000. You get that little bit of mystery. That's how sales work, right? Like if there's a commission, that's gamification. If you make that sale, you're going to get that bonus. That's gamification. But so the future in our daily life is already happening, but now it's just being given a title, a name. But it is just a human nature that is put into work.
Is the future of gaming more about ecosystems, platforms, or storytelling IP?
Uh, it's obvious. It's for sure a mix of both. But from what I've seen right now into the market and from my own experience and the project that did not work from my side, it has to connect with the consumer before the gameplay, before the mechanics, before the fancy graphics, before all of that. The consumer must connect to that product, and that is usually done through character design, environment, story, language, and localization.
Ahmed, this has been an incredible conversation, right? We're coming to the top of the show. What you're building isn't just a gaming studio, it's part of a larger movement redefining where innovation comes from. To my audience out there, and to all of you, we're at our 1700th podcast, and we've got millions of views worldwide. Now we're in 73 countries. Thank to all of you. Um, this is exactly what we mean at GSD: global startups, global ambition, and founders who refuse to be constrained by geography. This is GSD Presents. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm your host. Ahmed, closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Like, I know I may have seemed like I was wrapping the answers, but I just speak a little fast. But to summarize, my name is Ahmad Al-Natsheh, the CEO of Khosouf Studio. You can find me anywhere. Just put Khosouf Studio. I'm sure no one knows how to spell that, but you'll figure it out.
Thank you for taking your time. Thanks to all of you for attending one more time. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back to you again soon with another exciting edition. Ahmed, if you want to stay online after the show, want to speak for a few minutes, we
For sure.
can. Thanks, everybody, and thank you.